What up, y'all? Once again, it's me. Welcome to another episode of Source and Company, the Source and Company podcast. I am your host, Source, of course. You can always find me on Twitter or Instagram at Smitty Source on each of those, at Smitty Source. And of course, you can subscribe to the Source and Company channel on YouTube. All right, that was a fanfare in the background. So let's get into it. Today's company is my longtime friend. I'm gonna laugh a whole bunch during this probably. I just feel it already. My longtime friend, she is the owner of WKD Karate for Girls, which in their research, was and may still be the only female specific, like all female dojo around. So that's awesome. And we're gonna get into that business and a couple other things as well. Today's company is, man, I should have clarified, Monique Washington-Jones. It is Monique Washington-Jones, right? Hyphenated? I should have asked you that.
Yes. That's right.
How are you doing, Monique?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. You know, another day in the crib, working and playing. That's how we doing it in 2020, it seems. How about you? How are you doing with the pandemic, quarantine, all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging with everything that's going on, but business-wise, like gratefully, like we've been busy. We've been able to maintain our training. We're all online right now, which is very new to us in our industry. So a lot of learning, a lot of long hours, but I'm blessed to still have the business going in this way too.
Man, I know, like karate online. That's sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. Obviously, you know, hand to hand, used to physical contact and being face to face. So this is a whole new world for you, and yeah, like you said, a whole new world for the industry, right?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely because it is a physical sport, not being able to be physical is really hard, and just being super creative and figuring out how we can continue training without being physical. And you know, like I said before, like online classes were unheard of, or at least if they were, we used to talk about the schools that were online, and now we're being forced to be online. So it's definitely a lot of creativity, and I would not have known this 2 months ago that we would be doing this. So yeah.
The whole new. It's got to be like looking at other industries, not other industries really, but yeah, I guess other industries, music wise and different things. You see people having to do creative things, one, to keep themselves in good spirits, two, to keep their name at the time, and to keep their actual business alive. Like, it's crazy. Never thought we'd see it like this, right?
No.
And yet here we are.
Yes, making lemonade. That's what I say. Just keep making lemonade. Making lemonade.
Lemonade is my favorite drink, so that works out. Yeah. I got you. So tell me about the beginnings of WKD, because I mean, you know, that's an on-taking. Just not even the fact that you're a woman, Black woman. I'll say it anyway. A Black woman in karate, but just the whole business aspect, that's a lot. I mean, it had to be an on-taking, especially at the beginning.
Yeah, so WKD is the first part of my business name, but WKD was actually my father's school name in Virginia. So Washington's Karate Dojo was his business, the dojo that his name was under. And then when I started the Karate for Girls, I wanted to kind of keep that attachment to my father's name. So the initials WKD is from his school, and then the Karate for Girls. So I've been doing this forever, over 30 years now. And then just kind of in my training, because it is a male dominant sport, I would see so many females like come and go because it wasn't relatable being that close in contact with men and boys. So I would see a lot of people like come and go. And I knew if they stuck to it, like the benefits of the martial arts and the benefits of the training that came with it, not just physically, but outside of the training too. And we didn't have a choice. We had to stay in the martial arts training. My father didn't play that. He was our instructor, and you train. He didn't care. We didn't do any other sports. We had to do martial arts. But when I would see females come and go, I was just like, oh my goodness, if they just stayed, I know the benefits that would come with it if they stuck to it. So when I when it was an opportunity for me to open my school, I, said, hey, it would be cool to do an all female school and have all female staff, all female students. And then it was relatable. And then women wouldn't come and go and girls wouldn't come and go. They would stay because they could be relatable to the people that were training them and teaching them. And it wasn't heard of, at least in our research, it hadn't been heard of. And so we were literally creating the wheel. And initially it was just kind of like a part-time thing. It wasn't for money. I was working full-time and in grad school full-time. And then fast forward to 2010, when I lost my full-time job, decided that I was going to do it full-time after doing a lot of soul searching and talking to my husband on what was the next step. And we decided to go full, 200% and made it full-time in 2010. So, and I'm grateful that it's, it is all female school, but it has just as many students as some of the co-ed schools. So we're doing something right. So I'm really grateful for that. So.
Man. So what was it like as far as, you don't have to be so negative. I'm not trying to be negative, but
no.
In 2010, I'm sure there were some naysayers, not even from the outside and from inside the business as well. Like, how did you even deal? Did you listen to it, and how did you deal with it?
You mean when I went full time?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy because, it's a really crazy story. So my husband and I had been married 1 month. Like, this is a crazy story. We had just gotten married when I lost my job. And so our honeymoon phase was gone like super quick, because then all of a sudden it was like, all right, we're in survival mode. Like, what am I going to do? I don't have this income that I'm used to. And this, I wasn't bringing anything to the table as far as finances on my end. Like, and it was a 1 month in, like, so we had to, hit the ground running super quick. And David, as you know, is also an entrepreneur, and he was like, hey, let's just do it full time. And at that moment, I didn't know a lot of people that did martial arts full time. Now I do, but in my circle at that time, we just did it because it was our passion. That was just the thing to do. So I didn't do it for money. My father didn't do it for money. He had a full-time job along with the karate school. So this was all new to me. So I'm really grateful that, God gave me this husband a month later that was going to kind of teach me how to be the entrepreneur. So I always, I'm really grateful for both my father and my husband, because my father kind of gave me the martial arts training, where David was kind of like the entrepreneur training came from his side. So, so I kind of morphed it to where the business has gotten to where it's gotten, 10 years later. So, yeah.
Your dad didn't do it for money at all? He just was in it for the love.
No, you know what? And most people in my dad's generation didn't. Like, a lot of the school owners back then, they had full-time jobs. It was the martial arts way to pass on the training. So he had a full-time job. He didn't do it for money. And a lot of the old school trainers didn't. They had full-time jobs and they just did it because they wanted to do it. So that was the mindset that I came from. So I never knew how to make it a full-time business. And now in my network, I know, schools that are like multimillionaires doing it, but I didn't know that back then, so wow. Yeah.
So tell me, like you said, obviously your dad got you into it. Tell me about your dad, and where did he pick it up from? Was that because my brother does karate, martial arts, and I don't even know where it came from. I guess it's just something that he fell in love with and decided to go forward with. So where'd your dad get it from?
Yeah, so originally in the military, and then he was a Vietnam vet, and originally from the military, and then when he came back home, he finished it and earned his black belt so he could start teaching. So it was a combination of military training along with once he wanted to start teaching, he needed to get his black belt, so he got his black belt. So it was a combination of 2 instructors, and that's our system is actually, my father created his own curriculum, martial arts curriculum. It's like a morph of the 2 instructors that he had, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so that's where he got it from. And then he passed it on to my sister and I. So we did it, as kids, and just came up, literally grew up in the dojo. That's all we did. We didn't do any other sports. We just did karate. That's
it. I can't even imagine. Well, you see it now growing up in the dojo. You see a lot of kids. Every other shopping center you go to, you'll see Taekwondo or karate school, in those areas, and you look and some of them will be packed, a lot of kids. So a lot of them grow up with it now, but back then it couldn't have been as common, right? What was that like being the karate kids, basically?
We were the karate kids. So anyone that grew up with us, it was funny because my sister and I were pretty tall. So of course everyone was like, you guys play basketball. And we were like, no, karate. So because karate is like an all year round sport, like it's not seasonal, like, so there was no like you would stop and do other sports. We did karate like all the time. So we were always joked as like the karate kids because it wasn't that popular back then. We didn't do like the popular sports. We were doing karate. So and again, we didn't have much choice. When your father's your instructor, you do what he says. So that's kind of how we grew up.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But did you, at the time, did you take it as a positive, or did you just, that's what it is, so this is what we're doing?
I think now as an adult, I can appreciate it a lot more. As an instructor, you know, I can appreciate it a lot more because I know the other benefits that come with it. So
Right.
now when I look back, I'm like, I probably stayed out of a lot of trouble and was more disciplined than most people because of that martial arts training at the time. You know, I thought it sucked that I was in the dojo 5 days a week, but now I get it. You know, it kept us in shape. It kept us out of trouble. I mean, we weren't perfect kids, but a lot of stuff we couldn't get into because we were in the dojo. So I think that now I appreciate it more, but back then I'm sure I thought it sucked.
Yeah, I would probably say it probably helped with your education as well. I see it in my daughters, the fact that since they both cheered from
Yeah.
young age, competition cheering, and they always had to be on a schedule because their time was so filled with cheer. It wasn't, I mean, they had to get their homework done when it was time to get their homework done. It wasn't like you could play around with it or had a lot of free time, like you mentioned. So I'm thinking that you think it might help with the education.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we didn't have the best grades. like I didn't have the best grades, but it definitely kept you focused. Like, cause you couldn't there wasn't a lot of distractions because you didn't have a lot of idle time, you know? So it was, and it kept you busy. And, you know, if you're working out, you come home and you're too tired to do anything else. So you ate and you went to sleep. So there wasn't a lot of free time and idle time. So yes, I do agree with that part of it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So getting into the business, um, as a woman, one in the industry, but two, just as a small business owner altogether, has this journey, the last 13 years, almost 13 years, right? 13 years in July.
In July, yep.
Has this journey been what you expected, more than you expected, or did you think it was going to be harder from a business standpoint?
Oh, I mean, I'm still like an entrepreneur in training. Like I learn stuff all the time and I'm open to that. I'm always a student. So I'm fine with that. And I think it has a nice balance. So there's hard times and, but the good times like balance it out. So, I mean, being an entrepreneur, it's a whole nother ball game. I mean, anyone knows that. So you have to be, just focused and driven enough to fight through it. And I think that that discipline, and I think that the martial arts training helps with that discipline that I am able to fight through that part. But yeah, entrepreneurship is a whole nother ball game. And I'm still learning, how to do that.
That's probably the never ending learning.
Never.
Understood. And it's been, like I said, almost 13 years. All girls, all female instructors, kids from pre-K
Yeah.
to adult women.
Adult. Yeah. My youngest student is 3 and my oldest is 64. So
Wow.
literally everything in between. And my instructor team, I have an instructor team because there's no way that I could do it all by myself. And they range, I have teenagers that work and then I also have adults that work. So they, it's pretty cool. It's a whole gamut.
How long, because you all do competition as well.
Yes, I do have a competition team, which I'm super proud of. And I have some that compete locally, but I have an international team too that has traveled as far as Germany to compete. So they're really, 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 really into their training and do their thing. So they definitely make me look good. So I'm super proud of my competition teams. Yeah.
That's dope, man. As far as Germany, like,
yeah,
how does that happen? Well, I mean, it's probably similar to, not AAU, well, similar to AAU with a team that travels, a travel team specific?
Yeah, they were the Germany trip we went to for the World Games, and they actually represented America. So they were on Team America with like 80 other it was like maybe 80, I think it was like right under 100 that were
Wow.
all over the country that came together and represented Team America, and they went to Germany. So, and I had six. The six of them belonged to our school, and they were actually women and girls. I had one adult, and then the rest were teenagers or younger that went, and there were six that went, and we got to go to Germany, and they did really well. So yeah.
Hmm. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like a notch on your belt right there, really.
Yes.
Serious business for real. Um,
Yeah.
so girls all ages, how is it dealing with young ladies? You were a young lady, obviously, so you know the struggles and the pitfalls and all that good stuff. How has it been as a journey from, especially the ones that you may have seen from younger to adulthood?
Yeah, for the, there's stories there. I mean, mostly good, but you have, the girls are girls. So there's it's definitely like this dynamic with when they get hormonal and like the attitudes come, and like, so it's which is cool because like the parents and I, we're like tag teaming them, trying to get them to do the right thing. So it definitely takes a village. And I would say that's probably the difference in doing like an all female school, is that you're dealing with emotions and hormones and attitudes that come from girls, that you may not necessarily deal with when it's a co-ed school. So we do navigate that, but we've have really good relationship with my instructor team and with my parents. And it takes a village. So sometimes it takes a conversation from me, a conversation from mom, a conversation from another instructor to kind of get them on the right path. But we do work together and try to be that support team for the students. So yeah.
Yeah, just from seeing you and the school on social media, it feels like they look at you like another parent or big sister, aunt, whatever
Yeah.
the case may be, and like you play an important role in
Aw,
many of their
thanks.
lives, really.
And I threaten them. No, I'm kidding.
How?
I don't. No, but I do want them to know that they have someone else that has their back outside of their family. And I've had students come to me sometimes about stuff that they don't know how to approach their parents with, and sometimes we go to them together. So I want them to know that they have someone else in their corner. So I make sure that they know that they have, whether it's me or another one of my instructors on my team, that they know that we try to train more than just a sport. So we let them know that we're family. And I can tell you all kinds of conversations. I've had conversations about sex and drugs, and sometimes conversations I don't want to have, but I don't want to push them away too, because I'm like, maybe they don't feel comfortable having this conversation at home. So if I'm that voice of reason, then I'll do it. So we just try to, support them and let them know that they do have another family outside of their family that's, has their back. So
Hey, that's real though, because
yeah.
like a mom and or auntie, but not, is different than going to your parent with that same
Yes.
energy. And
Yes.
it's a lot of questions that they're just not going to go to their parents for.
Yeah.
And it all depends on the relationship of the child.
Yep.
And that thing.
Yep. And I always go to their parent and say, hey, heads up. They came to me and wanted to talk about dating. You might want to have this conversation with them so that we're all on the same page. I never do it behind a parent's back, but
Awesome.
I also want them to know that if they, I get phone calls and texts from students all the time about all kinds of stuff. So I want to leave it open for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you've got that training, and that goes along with your parenting as well.
Yeah.
Are the stepmom of a young man and a young lady, right?
Yes. 2 teens. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel you. I understand. I understand. How's that been? How's that been as a whole? I mean,
parenting is just one of those things. I'm grateful that there's a team of us. It's not just me by myself. So it's, I'm the stepmom, their father and their mom are all in the picture. So there's, sometimes it's the same thing. Sometimes all 3 of us have to get in their ear and get them on the right track. But teens are teens. So, you never know who you're going to get. We have a 15 and almost 15-year-old daughter. And our son is almost 17. So it's interesting. And I mean, luckily I've been with them since they were little, so I've seen them grow up, and they're good kids, but they're teens, so you
Right.
do what you have to do with teens.
And you're very specific. I mentioned this to you before.
Yeah.
You're very specific that you are their step parent.
Yep.
Talk to me about why that distinction is necessary.
Yeah, so David and I, like when we first got together, we were really careful with how I was introduced to them. We both came from divorced households when we were coming up, so we wanted to make sure that they knew it was not separate, that we were coming to them together. We wanted to make sure that they were supportive and they were okay with the relationship and how the relationship evolved. And we always have stressed that, the importance of, you have a bonus parent, and like, I'm not trying to take their step on their mom or their dad's toes. I'm like, hey, you have a third parent. Like, isn't it cool that you have three parents that would move mountains for you? Isn't it cool that you have three parents that show up for your games? Isn't it cool that we're cheering you on? So we kind of present it that way. And we all do stuff together, like, to support them and make sure that we show up for them. So that was really important to David and I when we got together, because we wanted to make sure that that was a healthy relationship. So
That's a lot, though. Like, well, it's a positive for.
yeah.
I'm just thinking for you, for the three of you. I'm sure it's a lot, or it can be challenging, or may have been challenging in the past.
Yeah.
You see different relationships, different family dynamics. Some are, well, that ain't your mama.
Yeah.
Or ain't my mama, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It turns into a me or you rather than me and you.
Yeah, and we know our roles. I think that's the biggest thing. I think there's a role that a mom plays, and there's no one can take away from that. There's a role that a father plays, and no one can take away from that. So when I'm coming in to support the foundation that I don't, I'm not trying to like take anything from that. And I'm very quick to say, go talk to your mom about that, or what does your dad say about that, before I implement whatever I want to say, or David and I will talk about it to make sure we're on the same page. I just think it's really important that we show a united front, even if we don't agree behind closed doors, that they see that we're all for them. And that's really important. So that it's not divided. Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, a lot of people could use that type of advice or guidance, or example, because that's real. Like, it's a lot of stress on a kid. Probably.
Yeah, and I think what I think the other thing is, David and I got married when I was older, so I think it has a lot to do with maturity, too. And I think that a lot of time, I was in my mid 30s when he and I got married, so I think that because we were older and we had experienced a lot of things, it was different than when you're younger and there's you're leading with emotion and you're thinking emotion first without thinking from the head. So I think that had a lot to we were very strategic and thought out, like, how are we going to introduce this relationship and this partnership and co-parenting. So yeah.
And for those that don't know, we didn't mention it, so she and I know each other.
Oh yeah.
Also know her.
Oh yeah, I'm saying it like, yeah, David, like,
So her husband David and I played middle school basketball together. Yes, I was the point guard, he was the shooting guard, and he would shoot the ball. Small shot. It's all good though. It's all good. And we had our high school rumbles too, as we went to rival schools. Maybe that's Meadowbrook. Yeah. So good times there. How is your sister, by the way?
She's good. She's good. She's working hard, but she's good. She's really good. Thanks for asking. She's good.
Absolutely.
She stays busy, but we talk often too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we didn't even mention where your karate school is. That's probably.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's important. So the karate school is in Columbia, Maryland, which is, not too far from Richmond, about 2.5 hours, no traffic from Richmond. So the karate school is there, and thankfully, I guess about 2 years ago, because the school does well and I have an amazing, amazing team, I was able to relocate back to Richmond. So I actually live in Richmond full time, and we have a place in Maryland. So when I go out up there maybe 3 times a month to like check in on my school and do belt tests and meet with my instructor and staff meetings and stuff. And we have a place that we rent when we're up there. But we're in Richmond full time just to be closer to family and all the responsibilities that come with that. But yeah, so the school's in Columbia. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's still important, obviously, because one day we're going to go outside again. But for now, you're online anyway. So if people want to contact you or check out the school, especially online at this time, how can
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I didn't hear. What was the question?
how can they do so?
Oh. So our website is karate4girls.com, and you can contact us on there, and our phone number and email and stuff is on there. And yeah, now everything's full online. So we even have students that, or potential students that are like, they log on and try classes, like try a free class to see if they like it. So we're able to still offer that for students that want to try the classes out. But yeah. Yep.
Okay, so they can log on and try a class for free just to see.
Yeah, so we do. Yep. So we're doing Zoom classes right now. So students, we call it like bring a friend. So we usually do like one day a week where students can like bring a friend, or if someone wants to try a class, they can jump online and work out with us and see what they think about the classes. So they're doing it from Zoom. So it's not the same as being in the dojo, but it also gives them something to do while they're at home and get a workout in while they're at home. So yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I am glad you were able to make a little time.
I know.
I'm glad we got to see each other,
I know.
in a long time. Any last words for the people?
No, just be safe and stay healthy right now. That's the most important thing. So.
Indeed. But once again, Monique Washington-Jones, again for joining me, Source and Company. We are out here.
Okay, bye, Mike.
All right.